Some of the most important stories don't start with some big discovery. They actually start with a loss. They begin the moment something fleeting just vanishes, but in its place, it creates something that lasts forever. This is one of those stories. It's about a concert, a dark highway, and what happens when the only proof of your greatest adventure disappears into the night.
Okay, so just picture this. You're flying down a pitch-black highway, just absolutely buzzing with that post-concert energy. The windows are cracked, music's still ringing in your ears, and the one physical object that proves your incredible night actually happened is sitting right there on the dashboard. And then, in a blink, it's not.
So let's set the scene. It's the Baltimore-Washington Parkway, December 1989. The car is filled with that cold night air and the leftover buzz from a truly legendary rock show. And sitting there, on the dashboard, is this small piece of paper, a little souvenir that's about to kickstart a much, much bigger story.
What happens next is just simple, brutal physics. You've got a car going 65 miles an hour, windows down. It creates this little vortex inside. And an autographed flyer, this treasured piece of paper, stands absolutely no chance. A cross breeze whips through the car. The paper just lifts, it kind of hovers for a split second, and then it's just violently sucked out into the darkness.
They immediately pull over, right? They're frantic, hoping they can run back and find it. But before they can even get out of the car, you see it. Flashing lights in the rearview mirror. A federal officer pulls up, super stern, tells them you can't stop here, and orders them to move on. And just like that, the loss was sealed. That flyer was gone, for good.
So, you're probably wondering, why was this little piece of paper so important? Why all the drama? Well, to get that, we have to rewind the clock a few hours. We have to go back to a legendary Baltimore rock club called Hammerjacks, and a really fateful decision about a spiral staircase.
See, back in the late 80s, you had a choice. You could go see a big, polished show at some massive arena, or you could go to a place like Hammerjacks. This place was different. It was gritty. It was intimate. It was the kind of club where you could feel the bass drum rattling your ribs and literally feel the sweat coming off the stage. The wall between the fan and the artist, it pretty much didn't exist here.
On the bill that night was the Welsh alternative rock band The Alarm. But the opening act, the Kevin McDermott Orchestra, was so electric, so raw, that they left this permanent mark. It was just one of those nights where every single note seemed to matter.
So the show's over, the crowd's thinning out, but our guy Stu, he's just not ready for the night to be over. And that's when he spots it. This tight, metal spiral staircase, just kind of tucked away in a corner. On a total impulse, he makes a move. He just starts climbing, fully expecting a security guard's hand on his shoulder at any second. But miraculously, nobody stops him. And at the top, he walks right into the band's green room.
This was the magic of a place like Hammerjacks. 1 minute he's a fan in the crowd, and the next he's standing there with Eddie McDonald and Nigel Twist from The Alarm. And they were so cool about it. They just handed him a beer and started talking to him like they were old buddies.
Of course, before he left, he had them sign a promotional flyer. And that piece of paper, it became everything. It wasn't just some autograph, it was tangible proof. It was proof that he had actually done it, that he had snuck past the velvet rope and lived a moment that most fans can only dream about. It was his holy grail.
But here's the twist. This story isn't really about losing a piece of paper. It's about what was created in its place. Because when the only proof you have left is a memory, that memory becomes an incredibly powerful source of inspiration. The loss of the artifact, it led directly to the creation of an echo.
And here's the real difference, right? You've got the lost artifact versus the true one. The flyer, that was just physical proof, but it was fragile. It was gone in an instant. The true artifact was the influence, that anthemic energy from the show. That became creative fuel. And that was captured forever on tape.
You can literally draw a straight line. The experience at Hammerjacks in December of '89, it wasn't just a fun night out. It was a catalyst. The very next year, that exact energy was carried directly into Hit and Run recording studios to lay down tracks for a new EP. So Stu's band, The Slide, they walk into the studio with the legendary engineer Steve Carr, and they knew precisely the sound they were chasing. It was that big, post-punk, acoustic-driven rock vibe from The Alarm's show. They didn't just remember it, they actively channeled it right into their own music.
So, what happened with that music? Did the echo from that night at Hammerjacks ever actually find an audience? Well, the answer came loud and clear through a signal on the radio.
2. It's a small number, but if you're in a local rock band, trying to make it 2 is a huge, huge victory. So what does this number represent?
It represents the 2 songs from their Hope at Last EP that actually broke through. The title track, Hope at Last, and another song, A Place for Me. Both of them, born from the energy of that one night, were good enough to make it onto the airwaves.
And this wasn't some tiny little station either. They got a spot on DC 101, one of the biggest rock stations in the whole area, on a show called Local Licks, hosted by Rockin' Rich Levinson. So that lost flyer might have been gone forever, but these songs, its true descendants, were being blasted all over the city.
And really, when you get down to it, this isn't just one person's story anymore. It's about something we can all relate to. That one moment of pure inspiration that changes everything for an artist or a writer, or really anyone with a creative spark.
And this really gets to the heart of it all. The ticket stubs, the posters, the autographs. They all fade, they tear, they get lost, or they fly out of car windows. They aren't the point. The point is the experience itself. That you were there. You climbed the stairs. You lived it. Every single person who creates something has a Hammerjacks moment. You know what I mean? It's that one concert, that one book, that one conversation that just lights a fire under you. It's the event that provides the spark for everything that you do from that point on.
So I guess the question this whole story leaves us with is a personal one. What was your spark? What was that pivotal moment that made you want to take a chance to see what was behind the curtain, to climb your own spiral stairs? Just think about that for a second, because that story, that's the one that truly matters.